He's reading one book a week, which is insane. I can only imagine how much work he would be doing at MIT or whatever else that he's doing, even with his podcast.
I don't know. Somebody said that Nassim is mad because his books don't appear in that list.
I remember him pitching to Elon when Elon came on Twitter saying, "Ki, I'll just work for Twitter. I want to make it a better place."
My left stroke just went viral. Right stroke put a baby in a spiral.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Creator Deep Dive. And today we are talking about possibly one of my favorite podcasters. Who are we talking about today?
We're talking about Lex Fridman.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you were telling me there's some recent controversy with Lex, right? Why don't you tell us about it?
It's a reading list here. It's a reading list, and it's something so innocuous that, and frankly, nobody expected that's going to break internet, at least Twitter, and in the intellectual part of Twitter. So that's
Right.
kind of fun to, come across in the 2023.
No, that makes sense. I'm just quickly looking at his tweet where he actually shared his list week by week, and it got 38 million views, which
Wow.
seems insane. But yeah, for people who don't know, Lex is he seems to be an insanely smart podcaster, and he is also teaching at MIT, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
He's teaching at MIT. He is a black belt in jiu-jitsu,
Wow.
as far
Okay.
as I remember. Yeah, and he's like an all-round. He's like an AI enthusiast. I remember him pitching to Elon when Elon came on Twitter saying, "Ki, I'll just work for Twitter. I want to make it a better place." So he seems to be like an all-rounder. But what's the controversy in this?
So apparently, the intellectual side of the Twitter didn't approve of his list. They said that it's too, let's say, strawman. It's like too basic books. Lex, shouldn't have enlisted so many classics. As you can see,
Right.
it starts with 1984, Hitchhiker's Guide to the
Correct.
Galaxy, Stranger on the Road, Fountainhead Foundation. So I mean, these are classics. I mean, it's a very good starting point, right, for anyone.
Correct. Yeah.
So, but apparently, writers like Nassim Nicholas Taleb took great offense to his intellectual level. You can see he tweeted very mean tweets.
Yeah, apparently he's also insinuating that Lex is not part of the faculty at MIT.
Yeah, but you can see. I mean, he's sort of saying it could be, doesn't seem to be. He's not saying something anything for certain. So
Unpaid
Nassim is
external
being
status.
fishy here. Yeah.
Right. I didn't know Nassim had an inclination for controversy.
Well, I heard that he's kind of a narcissist. People don't really like him as a person. Of course,
Oh,
we all love
okay.
him as a writer. I
Right.
love his books, but
Correct.
I came across this this bunch of people who said that he's not really good when you meet him in person. So he's mean that way. But yeah,
Right.
in these tweets, something else I noticed. He said that Lex invited him. Sent him invitations at least 10 times, which he declined.
Hmm.
So what do you think about that? Because that's also kind of mean, because you when you work in media, this is very core to the trade of media, right? You
Correct.
receive many more requests, not just 10. You can receive 50 requests. So I don't know why he spoke about that, the thing that should have remained behind the curtain. What do you
They use these requests as a way of signaling that people want them, and they are the ones who's calling the shots, saying, "No, I'm not going to come on your platform." So
Yeah,
interesting that, yeah, I agree. Like, that's not something that you should always
make public? Yeah,
make public.
because it's fairly commonplace in media. You know
Correct.
news channels and these media houses, they send you requests regularly, and it's not that Lex himself is sending those events, right? He may
Right.
have people to do that, and they may be
Right.
sending these requests to 100 people at once, no?
Correct.
So that's something, Nassim, I think he crossed the line there about that integrity that you should maintain.
Right. Yeah. But what was the core problem? Like, would they? I mean, did this become such a big deal just because the books were like fairly straightforward, or were people saying that Lex should be using his platform to like promote more complicated books? Like, what was the actual problem that people had with him?
I don't know. Somebody said that Nassim is mad because his books don't appear in that list. So maybe
That would
that's
make
the
a lot of
reason.
sense.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's why he jumped into this. But yeah, I mean,
correct.
I'm also intrigued by this because these books are really, really good books. And
Mm-hmm.
another thing, I mean, I'll make a general observation that people, pretend to have read these books. They have,
Hmm.
classics. Classics,
Right.
just everyone says that, oh, I've read 1984. But, people actually don't read 1984. So maybe people felt, threatened by, something so simple that they haven't
Wow.
read. I'm just developing this theory. I don't know, man.
Right. But when I saw this, I didn't know about the controversy. I saw this tweet and I was just thinking to myself, like the capacity of Lex to do work is just so high. He's reading one book a week, which is insane. I can only imagine how much work he would be doing at MIT or whatever else that he's doing, even with his podcasts. He's fairly regular.
Yep.
So that was super impressive that he's able to do all of these things. But I
Yeah.
mean, this just goes to show that you can find a controversy on pretty much everything on the internet.
Absolutely. And this also goes to show that, one should be able to separate the art from the artist. Like we all
Hmm.
love Nassim Nicholas Taleb's books, but we don't
Right.
have to actually love the guy, right? Because your heroes at the end of the day disappoint you. So
Wow, that's
that's
a
also a
really
moment.
good point. But do you also feel like, because we are creators, right? And I'm sure like we will be in this position very soon. Do you feel
Yeah.
like us as creators should be aware of this? Like the fact that people will not maybe put you on a pedestal, but like look at you differently, right? Because it's like a one-way conversation that you're having. It's you saying everything and they don't have a way of seeing you in person.
Yeah.
So like, do you also feel like as a creator, as a person who's in front of on the screen that people are watching, that we have a responsibility to kind of live up to that expectation, or
Right.
is that unrealistic?
I mean, some people know that it's not us, it's the books, or it's not me, it's my other talents, it's my persona on screen that people like. So those people remain grounded. But of course there are others who are
Right.
living in that mold and go on different levels altogether. But I would add another layer to it, particularly to Nassim's latest outburst on Twitter. I think it's related to age as well. I've seen that as some creators get old,
Hmm.
I think that they get gripped with this fear that they are becoming irrelevant with time.
Hmm. Right.
Maybe Lex Friedman, who he thinks that he's a very strawman like personality, doesn't read much. He's reading these very common books. Why his tweets are getting 35 million views?
Hmm.
Why mine are getting only 10 million? Why people aren't
Right.
liking me as much as they do? So they used to. So I think it's also related to age, because after all we are all afraid of becoming irrelevant at the end of the day.
Right. That's so interesting, right? That's like I don't know if Elon Musk intended that to happen. Not like this exact controversy, but just seeing those views on tweets just blows my
Yeah,
mind.
that's so
Um,
amazing, man.
it
You can
blows
see
my
the
mind.
views. Yeah.
In today's thumbnail Thursday, I'm talking about like a video from Flagrant, right? Andrew Schultz's podcast, where there's like Andrew Tate and Greta Thunberg, and he's kind of talking about like the whole
Yeah.
Twitter controversy. And I
Yeah.
was just going to that tweet, and Greta like just posted like two lines.
Yeah,
Like
and
mail me
she
at getalife at the rate
she ended
smalldickenergy.com.
she
Yeah,
ended his career, no?
correct. And that got, I think, 290 million views.
Yeah,
And
on that, can you share your screen right now again of
yeah,
those
yeah, yeah.
tweets? Because I want to discuss the last response by Lex, which is such class response, as you can see.
Oh, this one. I'm so sorry you feel this way. Oh,
Yeah.
1.1 and 25K. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, and look at the tweet above. Nassim's tweet got 10.5 million views and got only 14K likes. And
Ah,
Lex is, it's like what, 10% of the number of views, but 250% more number of likes. So I think it's just amazing what you can
true.
deduce from these numbers and how people are reacting.
Yeah. Lex, I feel has like a very loyal fan base. Because he's just so weird and he embraces his weirdness, right? I remember watching one of his podcast episodes where people are just like, I hate the way Lex talks. And then he just comments like, what do you expect me to do? I can't just change the way I talk.
Yeah.
So I just hope like you're stuck with me. And that had like a bunch of likes,
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
response.
The weird thing about this controversy is that, all the people involved in this, I really, respect all of them. I mean,
Hmm.
Nassim Nicholas Taleb is one of the greatest thinkers of our time. There's no
Right.
denying that.
Right.
And Lex is one of the greatest interviewers. He asks wonderful questions, right?
Correct.
But why do these two, personalities, forces come, together and create this thing?
As I've kind of transitioned from being a content consumer to a content creator, right? The one thing that I've learned about controversies is that you rarely ever know the full picture. I mean, this was a much smaller one, right?
Yeah.
We have witnessed some massive controversies. Last year we had that Prakhar Ke Pravachan versus Sandeep Maheshwari one that got dragged on for months.
Okay.
And maybe we've talked about this before, but like I remember at one point thinking, I kept oscillating between the two parties, saying, "Oh no, I support him now. Oh, I support him now." After each video, and at that point, I kind of just stopped myself and said, "Okay, I don't know the full picture. I probably never will know the full picture. So I need
Right.
to cut them some slack,
Yeah.
like all parties. It's fine. Like
Absolutely.
I'm being entertained. That's okay. But I can't like take sides and form my opinion." Because like especially as now we are creators, like if I imagine if something happened with like a contemporary creator, right, and I start
Yeah.
taking sides and I don't know what's happening, then
Absolutely.
like that would lead to utter chaos. So I think
Yeah.
having like an open mind and just knowing that you will not know the full picture, it's okay to take a stand, but like don't commit to it because you
Yeah.
don't know like what new information will come and things will change so quickly.
Absolutely. And I would just, conclude this by saying that, although I'm disappointed with Taleb for hitting, Lex below the belt, but I would continue to read his books. I would
Right.
continue to hear, Lex's
Right. Totally.
podcast. I would
Totally.
continue to follow them on Twitter.
Yeah.
So I think that's at the end of the day, there is no, I mean, just as you said, black and white thing is happening.
Correct.
In that moment, Taleb, did something which I will not hold him accountable for, for the rest of the
Exactly.
lives.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. No, totally. That's a great point. But cool. I think that's it. Thank you so much
Yep.
for watching, guys. This was a great episode, and we shall see you in the next one.
Yep.
Peace.